I haven't been out of the house in 9 days, but I'm trying to keep mobile, and I've been up and down the driveway walking. This video is just all about what Moosey and I have been doing here as we pray for all the people who are affected by these fires. Well, I thought I'd do a short video. I always say that and it never winds up to be short. But just to catch you up on what Moosey and I have been doing for these past 9 days. As everyone knows, the LA fires are still, embers are burning, fires are still burning, but containment is ready. And it's been just a horrible week watching the devastation, people losing their homes, their lives, and we are praying still for the recovery and the relocations and so many awful things ahead of all those people. Now, the one thing we haven't been seeing too much of on our televisions, and I know we've all been glued to the TVs, is where are these people? All these people that are their homes have burned. Well, finally, I today started seeing what they're calling tent cities. Now, I've seen those before with other disasters in other parts of the world, and even here in probably the South with hurricanes. So these people are really homeless. However, they're trying to do the best. The hotels are all filled with people, and I would hope that relatives have taken people in, especially children. Being an ex-teacher, I have such sympathy for the children who have lost their schools and are trying to carry on. They're doing Zoom long-distance education as they did during COVID, and I think they found that that wasn't as successful as it could have been. But I think they're looking for large buildings, open buildings, to try and set up classrooms for a lot of these children, especially high school children, and they want to try and keep them together so that they continue with their friends and learn together rather than separate them and perhaps keep them at home and they don't see friends again. It's just so horrible, and my heart goes out to them. We have been affected only in the way of the high 75-mile-an-hour winds, and that was mostly the first night. That was, believe it or not, 9 days ago. And we did lose our patio. I think you probably saw the videos, and had quite a bit of things upside down up against the car, a lot of debris and broken pots and ceramics and whatever. But our children and our grandchildren have cleaned it up, believe it or not, done a great job. Margie's husband, Mike, and her son, Aiden, took apart the whole patio and broke down the iron pillars and just got rid of the top. And everything looks pretty good. My Shamu, who has been featured in a few of my shorts lately, is quite confused. And that brings me to the animals. We've seen everything from large animals, horses, all the way down to chickens. And by the way, Colleen's chickens are still fine. They're okay. But so many of them had to be left behind, and people are trying to get back and find their pets. Are they still in homes that have not been destroyed? The pet evacuation is so sad too, but there's a lot of people who did grab their pets when they left. But so as it settles down, what have we all been doing, those that are on the fringes of this? And that's where we've really been. We're in that San Gabriel Mountain, the valley, in the basin. We're part of the LA basin. The view from our garden and patio, straight ahead, is of the San Gabriel Mountains, and that is called the San Gabriel Valley down below. We've been getting all the red alerts and the high wind alerts and the bad air alerts. We did get one almost evacuation alert. I did pack a bag, by the way. We talked about that. That never happened, thank God. But what do you do all day long? Well, Lucy and I are 87 years old, and just staying in, not going out, is not good for your health or your mobility. Now, you know Moosey's situation. He does use a rollator and doesn't usually walk too far. But I myself have been trying to at least walk up and down. We have a long driveway. Now it's a hill. First you go down, down, down to the gate, and I count my steps, and it's a couple 100 feet all the way down, a couple 100 feet back. Now today I've done the walk twice because I'm trying to keep my knees limber to maintain my mobility. And you know, it's kind of a catch-22. Should I be out in the air breathing this air? Probably not, although today I don't smell any smoke and it hasn't been breezy. I was out this morning. The sunset was about 6:45 this morning, and it was as calm as could be. There wasn't a breeze in the air. Now this afternoon, I do see the winds whipping up again. I think they're a little worse, more toward the east, and that would be out toward Riverside. I think a new fire broke out in San Bernardino, but they're getting them quicker because I guess there's water available, and there's so many people here from out of state, from Mexico, Canada. I even saw people here from, I believe, South Africa. The help has been wonderful. So Moosey and I are trying to just keep ourselves busy. You know, you can get quite down watching the TV. And when I think about still trying to take care of yourself so that you don't wind up, we spend a lot of time obviously sitting now, but I have tried to stay up and down. Now I want to talk about skin. I have the driest skin in the world to begin with. And the only times that my skin was happy was, well, in Scotland, where there was so much humidity and dew and little bits of rainfall. Now, everyone else might not have loved all the rain in Scotland, but I loved it because my skin felt so moist and good. Any other places where it's like that, I feel good. But in this kind of weather, where it's been so dry and there's no humidity, and we haven't had a drop of rain, believe it or not, since April. I hadn't realized it was that long ago. My skin feels so parched. So, as you know, I have my favorites for my skin. And I have been slathering my skin with an assortment of my faves. I, of course, love my Nivea. I think you all know that's my #1 fave, and I've loved that. Been putting Nivea all over my face and parts of my body probably since my 30s. And I don't use lotions because they're not, I'm going to use the word greasy enough for me. I need grease on me that's going to sink into my skin. It really is dry. Now, as you know, I'm also a slugger. I slug with Vaseline, face, body, all of that. Sometimes after showers, or most always after a shower, I use the Vaseline Intensive Oil. It's an oil, and that's greasy. Now you have to put a robe on for a while before it sinks into your skin, before you can put clothes on. But that's what I have to do. I've been using bio oil gel, which I love, and this is what I put on my face under makeup when I put makeup on. I haven't been putting makeup on unless I do some sort of a video or if I go out. Well, I haven't gone out, and so it's been mostly the grease. And I thought maybe you might feel that way too if you're living anywhere within this area. And this area goes all the way out beyond Riverside, San Bernardino to the east, even out beyond Palm Springs. And south too, by the way, all the way to San Diego. No rain, just this dry weather. So that's what my skin has been living with. Now, I am actually going out tomorrow, believe it or not. Debbie went to see Wicked with some of her daughters and daughter-in-laws a couple of weeks ago, and she said it was the best movie she has ever seen in her whole life, and she wanted to take me, and so she's going to see it again, and tomorrow we're going to see the movie Wicked. Now she said, Mom, bear in mind it's a 3-hour movie, and we'll probably get something to eat, dinner, and we'll bring something home to Moosey. She suggested the Red Lobster since we have so many of those gift cards from the kids, and we want to try and use them up. But I prefer to have that lobster nice and hot and right there in the restaurant. So I think we'll reserve that for the restaurant. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. By the way, what I'm about to say is a non sequitur. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. But I am sitting on a very low, maybe 15 inches from the ground, step stool that prior to the past couple of weeks, when I have tried to sit on this, I have gotten stuck. Once I got stuck out in the garden and couldn't get up because it was so low. And we had to call Micah to come down and lift me up from this stool. I've been sitting on this sometimes in my closet room trying to sort things and have not been able to get up from it. I fell off it once on the ground, and somehow it took me about 10 minutes, but I did get up on my knees and managed to get up. I had something I could pull myself up with. But that tells me that the walking that I'm doing, especially prior to this past week, I do get out, do all food shopping, and when I'm walking, I deliberately make sure that I keep walking. When I have gone up and down the driveway, which is hilly, and it's good coming up because I'm pushing myself a bit, I do use the walker, Moosey's walker, and that helps. Ladies, if you have bad legs or knees and you feel you need to use something, don't be embarrassed to use it. I started using this when Moosey was in the hospital, and it was such a long walk where I had to park. The parking lot was always full. I do have a handicap parking thing, but there were only a few spaces in the whole hospital parking lot anyway. And I'll bet it took me 20 minutes to just get into the hospital, and then I had to walk back. Now, I did build up quite a bit of strength during that time every single day visiting Moosey, but I realize I'm able to get up, and that makes me feel so good. That makes me realize that even at 87, when you think that your physical mobility has gotten to a low, don't accept it. Realize that you can do something about it and start those exercises, the dancing in the kitchen, marching in the house. You don't have to go outside. You can do pretend marching, walking, any kind of exercises, even in your bed. They all help. And I'm a good example of it at 87 with bone-on-bone arthritis in both knees, a torn meniscus from a year ago. I have improved, and that makes me feel good. Now, what have we been accomplishing around here? Well, Aiden's been coming and been helping me with the vacuuming and the cleaning inside. Now, these palm trees, when we had these high winds, the palm trees have these little, they look like blueberries, only they're semi-hard, and they come down all over the ground. They get everywhere. They're so awful. And they're slippery. If you walk on them, they're in clumps, and wind blows them around. They're slippery, and they also stick to the bottom of your shoes or whatever. So we bring them into the house, and I had to throw a pair of slippers out because I couldn't get them. They were mashed up on the bottom of my slippers. You know, the debris sometimes from high winds is amazing. So the house needed a good cleaning. He washed my kitchen floor, and we tried to, he was here yesterday, and we tried to get some more Christmas things away. In fact, I have a Santa Claus that I was put on the bed that I had forgotten had been sitting on the hearth here in the house. Do you do that? Do you notice that after you think you've gotten every last thing out of the house, Christmas, put away, that you always find something left somewhere? Now, I think I've told you that I do keep up. Moosie's mother, God bless her soul, I loved her dearly. She always said that you should keep a little bit of Christmas in your house all year round. And I have done that ever since I met Moosie. And one of the main things, you've probably seen it over the doorway that goes from the living room into the bedroom, a big board that Debbie made probably 25 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's the 12 days of Christmas. And there are little ornaments hanging, each different picture of the days, the 12 days of Christmas. I keep that up all the time. I keep a tiny wreath in the bathroom, a little tiny one, over the paper roll on the wall, and a few other little things here and there. I think I have a little sand dollar Christmas ornament that our grandson, Matthew, we call him Big Little Matthew because he's the son of our son Matthew, but he's taller now. He's 16 or 17, I can't believe it. And he is taller, so we have to call him Big Little Matthew. But he gave me an ornament one year that he picked out when he was a little boy in Big Lots or somewhere where Dad took them to do some Christmas shopping for Mom one year. And he bought that for me, and I keep that hanging here, actually in the bedroom. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to talk about, oh, by the way, Aiden won't be here for a while yet. He's going back east. He'll be there for the inauguration. He's going back to visit a dear friend that he went to high school with. And as a matter of fact, I guess they went to Europe last year and did some touring around with another friend. And he lives in Virginia. And so they're going to try and go to the inauguration. And Aiden has never been back east, so I hope he enjoys that. So we can't do any more Christmas help. Everything's just gonna sit out in my tubs until they get put away. I can wait on that. In fact, everything, I'm not in a rush to do anything anymore. Time means nothing to me other than it goes much too quickly, that's for sure. I want to tell you, Moosie just said to me, "What's that I smell? It smells so good coming from the kitchen." Well, that's another thing I want to talk about. Since I have not been out of the house in 9 days, I have been making it a point, and I want to see how long I can do this, by the way. Have you ever done this where you start eating up all the things that have been in your freezer for a while or in your refrigerator, and you wouldn't believe the number of meals that you can put together just from what you have in your freezer or in your cabinets. Now, yes, you do run out of milk and the staples, that's for sure. But so far for 9 days, that hasn't happened with me. I did need an apple today, but I improvised and I found a can of dessert apples, and I'm going to use that for my supper. Guess what it is? We love sauerkraut, and of course that's fermented foods, very, very good for you. And I looked up a German recipe, and it's mixed with apples and sauerkraut. Now, sometimes they make their own sauerkraut. I didn't. This is somewhat of an experiment to make a German type of a sauerkraut and bratwurst dinner. Sausages are finished, and I'm ready to just saute some onions, and then we'll see what we do with the apples and sauerkraut. I just poured about 3/4 of the can of sauerkraut in with the sauteed onions. I've put about half the can of apples with some of the sweet juice. I ended up throwing in the whole can of sauerkraut thing because I didn't want it too sweet. I'll serve this with probably a little bit of mustard to go with it. Okay. Moosey's going to be my taste tester. Well,
Es Deutscher
definitely.
es schmeckt mir gut.
Tell me.
So viel like my Großmutter.
Oh,
My Großmutter was Hausdeutsch. You know that.
I know.
Great.
Now, what do you taste more? You have some on your chin. Get it. There, you got it. Now, what do you taste? Do you taste enough sauerkraut? Or are the apples too strong?
Was there onion in here?
Yes. Sauteed onion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I had used a fresh green apple and cooked it and softened it, it probably would be more authentic. But I didn't have an apple, so I used canned apples, which have a sauce to them, and they're sweeter. But it's a yummy dinner, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Did your grandma ever make it? Grandma from Leipzig, Germany?
My Großmutter?
Yeah.
My Großmutter?
See,
She was off from Ireland.
baloney. Did your German grandmother ever make this?
No.
No. Interesting. Well, you have some rye bread there. Enjoy.
Thank you.
This time the sauerkraut will have somewhat of a sweet taste, similar to the German way of cooking this meal. And I didn't have the bratwurst, but I did get the Italian sausages, and those are cooking right now. So that's what we're going to have tonight, a German meal. I've been doing really well on the meals. I made a pizza one night last week, a homemade pizza. I happened to have the dough, and it was delicious. So I think one of these days it's time for me to get back in the kitchen and maybe do a meal for you. I think that's really all I wanted to talk about. I will be putting another video up on Saturday, and I will tell you my thoughts on Wicked. I know Mikey's kids have seen it, the movie, and I believe they did see the show. I think Margie and I, about 6 or 7 years ago, did go into the Pantages in LA, and we saw Wicked then. It was a form of, I don't know whether it had the same name, but the story is what Oz was like before Dorothy. And I just can't wait. In fact, I have a feeling that Debbie and I are dressing up. I guess that's what people do when they go to this movie. She said, I'm wearing green, which is what the witch has, a green face. So she said, wear pink. So that means I get to be the fairy godmother, the sweet one. So she said, wear pink. So maybe I'll find a crown and wear something pink. I don't know what that's all about, but I'm going to do what Debbie says. I hope I don't forget. I'll have Moosey remind me. That's it. Been a very uneventful week other than this, and we are riveted, and that's all we can think about and pray is for the people affected and still being affected, by the way. Mikey's coming up on Sunday, so we'll see Mikey. He's coming up with his son Dane. They're coming up to a computer store up this way from San Diego. And Moosey said, why are you coming all the way 2 hours up from San Diego for a computer store? I said, well, it's a special one that sells computer parts. Mikey started building computers when he was 13 or 14. I don't know where he learned how to do it, but he built old computers for some of our younger grandsons at the time. And Dane is following in his father's footsteps. Mikey's teaching Dane, who is just like Mikey. And they're building computers, I guess, for maybe the younger girls or people who need them or whatever. So we get to see Mikey and Dane Sunday, and that's always nice. Another funny thing, Molly texted me. Remember I told you the story one day when I had Molly and Jenny, two of our granddaughters, for lunch. And they were probably in their late 20s, married, and decorating homes, and I walked them around the house and I said, look at all my treasures and the things I've collected all these years. Tell me what you like so that I can pass some of these down or give you some of these things. And Molly looked at me and she said, well, Nanny, she said, we're millennials and we don't decorate our houses like this. And I thought, oh, well, okay. Well, yesterday I got a text from Molly, sweet Molly, Debbie's daughter. Molly now has 3 babies, Annie, Kelly, and the darling baby, little Austin. And she's a great mommy, a great little housekeeper, does beautiful decorating. And Kevin is very handy, and he is doing a lot of things around the house. And she said, Nanny, we're redecorating our kitchen, especially in an area up over the sink. And I have an area where I think that some of those plates you offered me a long time ago might look beautiful. She said, yes, she said, I have to tell you that I'm finally appreciating and getting some, I'm growing older and learning something more about decorating. I thought that was so funny. So Molly is now into vintage and collecting, whereas before, oh no, she was a millennial. So we laughed about that. I better close. I'm rambling now, but continue all your prayers. You know, they work. So many people need prayers. They need other help as well, but the prayers sure will help. Thank you for your prayers, for them, for all the firefighters who are doing such a great job, our grandsons, our son Bill, and I appreciate them. Moosey and I love you so much. We're fine, and let's hope that soon everyone will be back in their homes, if their homes are still there, and that other people will start the process and it doesn't turn out to be just a nightmare for them. I love you all, and God bless us all. And guess what? I can get up out of this stool. Watch. Can you believe it?